I've come to a realization these past few days that no matter what, you are on a race against yourself and not against anyone else. The progress that you've seen other people have, you can't compare it to yours because they would have done different things at different times as compared to you. You do not have the same circumstances as them. They do not have the same circumstances as you. So do not compare your results or even your journey to anybody else. Being a content creator on TikTok means that regardless of what I do, I will always have competition. Now, the competition is not a bad thing. It just means that we're going to be pushed towards our most creative self, which is an incredible thing. But I find myself constantly comparing myself to other content creators. Like, I find myself looking at other content creators who has been there for 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, who has been on TikTok for longer than I have, and they've done so well in like their TikTok content, how many followers they have and things like that. And it just makes me feel a bit inferior about myself. But then when I do feel inferior about myself, I'm like, you can't compare yourself to them because they've been there for so much longer. They know all of the things that you don't. They've been in the journey of the algorithms changing, whatever. And they've gone through like a bunch of things before you. So I can't compare my journey to them because my journey is not exactly the same as theirs. When you are studying, you will find yourself comparing yourself to other people. Maybe not even you comparing yourself. Maybe other people are comparing you to somebody else, which is what I used to experience a lot when I was doing my GCSEs and A-levels. I was constantly compared to every single person in my class. It didn't help that I was at the bottom of my class. Like, I was actually like the worst student there was over there. And I was constantly being compared to other people. They were always telling me like, how come you can't do that? How can they do it and you can't do it? What's wrong with you, basically? And they just put me down so much that it broke my confidence. But that's the thing about breaking confidence, or that's the thing about like failing. When you're at the bottom, you have no other option but to go up. And that's exactly what I did. I've had this conversation with my boyfriend before, and this mindset actually came from him. He was saying that like people who don't have a lot or who started from not a lot are actually more able, or like have the inner mindset with them to become successful. Because when you have nothing, you can't lose anything. You either make it or you don't, and you have no other option but to make it. And that's why when it comes to studying, don't compare yourself to other people. Your grades do not tell anything about how you are. It only tells you how you were, your mindset, your physical health, your mental health during the time of you doing the exams itself. So today, on your way to school, on your way to work, remember that this is not a race against other people. It is only a race against yourself. You need to be looking back at what you've done so far and look at the progress you've made. That is the most important part. As long as you are progressing, as long as you are doing better for yourself, that is the most important thing. Because once you've tackled that side, then the rest of it just talks about how you can be confident for your exam, for your presentation. It's just all about confidence, basically. One of my teachers back in high school said something to our class that really kind of like clicked in my mind. So when we were doing our GCSEs, there was a moment in time where we all kind of just plateaued. We all got stuck in like C's and B's, and no one was able to make an A star except for like the 5 smartest kid in class. But every single one of us plateaued in that grade. And this was like a month before the exam, so I was already starting to do quite well in my classes. If you guys know me from TikTok, then I've talked about before how I literally failed everything up until the last 3 months of my exams, and that's when I kind of like skyrocketed. But even then, I was stuck at B's and C's. I wanted to get an A at least. That was like all I wanted. My teacher predicted me a B, by the way, and I got an A star in the exam. They only predicted me a B. They didn't think I could do it. Everybody thought I was gonna fail, but I got an A star in the end. And it was because of this thing that he said. So he sat us down in class. We were all sat down in our tables. He went up to the whiteboard and then he drew a giant circle. With this giant circle, he drew a tinier circle inside it, and he said, this is you guys as compared to the population of the world. That circle that represented us as compared to the whole world was showing us how privileged we are. Other students in around the world do not have the same privileges as you. Other students around the world, they do not have the same opportunities as you. Think about it. I used to do a lot of volunteering when I was younger, and my teacher, he actually brought up the statistics for this, and he showed us the students who were able to go to school, into an international school for one, having the ability to go to a different country for university, having the ability to even afford notebooks, pens, papers, textbooks, things like that, is so large compared to the students that actually do have the means to go to school. Now, obviously, this is different around the world because I was in Indonesia at that time, and so the class disparity is quite big. But in the UK, the USA, countries where you have the privilege of having better public schools than those in developing countries, you guys are so privileged. You have no idea how privileged you are. You're able to do everything that you can do now because of the privilege that you have, the opportunities that were given to you, just because you're in a different country. But yet, you're sat there not doing anything about it because you're like, oh, I'm too lazy. Oh, I don't want to do this because I just can't. I just don't want to. Wouldn't it break their hearts to listen to you say that? Whether you like it or not, whatever situation you are in right now, you are probably more privileged than they are. And it was this talk, or like whatever it is that he was doing, motivational speech that he was doing, that got me into the grind of actually doing well in my studies. I pushed my boundaries. I went further than what I thought I couldn't ever even achieve. And in the end, I got an A* because of it. And it was all because I recognized that I have the ability and that I am privileged enough to have this type of education given to me in front of me. And all I had to do was just take it. That was all I had to do. All I had to do was just give a little bit of effort just so that I can have it with me. Make use of the privilege that was given to me. And then use that privilege afterwards to help other people. Don't use your privilege to put down other people, but instead use your privilege to help other people. You want to be a doctor someday? Fine. Why do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a doctor because of the money? Do you want to be a doctor because you save lives? Do you want to be a doctor because you help other people? If you want to be a doctor because of the money, that's completely fine. But use some of that money to help other people out there. Use some of that money to volunteer or donate or open up a scholarship under your name. You can literally do anything you want, but figure out what it is that you want and how you want to use that to help other people. So use that privilege of yours to do good in this world. Don't use the privilege of yours to just say, I'm lazy. I don't want to do it. I'm just going to procrastinate. I'll do it tomorrow. Think about the people that don't have the same opportunities as you. Think about how they would feel to see how you're throwing it all away. Think about how embarrassing that would be for you when you see them, look them in the eyes, and they tell you, I want what you have, but I can't because I just don't have the opportunities that you do. And then you're there throwing it all away because you don't want to do it. So go in class today, go into work today, and give it the best you've got, because what else can you do but give the best you got? Why, when you have two options between the best and the worst, why give it your worst when you can give it your best? Or at least give it the bare minimum. At least that. But yeah, thanks for listening to my rant. I love you guys.